I'm John Young, and born and bred in Harwood here. And from when I left school, I more or less started on the farm that my parents owned. Uh, but unfortunately, there wasn't a big enough farm to for both of us, so I went out labouring, cutting cane for several seasons. And then after my father passed away in '68, I took over the farm and changed it from a mixture of cane, corn, cattle, pigs into a full cane farm. I was lucky I had the support of my old mother, who was really the farmer in the family, and between us, each year we'd break up a bit more new ground, and finally got it completely under cane after about 10 years. And I've been at it ever since. And after we got married, my wife and I had the opportunity to buy another 100 acres nearby, and joined them with the home farm, and I've been working them ever since. And then in later years, the last 15 years, or maybe 15, 17 years, uh, I took on a bit of share farming. Opportunity came. There was a few farms sold to people who were out of the district with cashed up and bought the farms and didn't know what to do with them. And I offered me services to grow cane for them, and they took me up on it. So we finished up with another, besides our own 250 acres under cane, we had another around 200 odd to go with it. So that's when my eldest son, who'd been working on the cane buggies and harvesters for a number of years, and he did his apprenticeship with as a mechanic, diesel mechanic. So he came and joined me back in around about 2012, I think. So I worked we worked together for a long time, but I'm getting a bit on the ancient side now, pushing 83, and I still help him out where I can, when I can, but not on a large scale. Uh, that's about as far as the cane part of it goes. Well, I've always, from when I was a young fellow, I always wanted to farm, but the opportunity hadn't come until Dad unfortunately dropped off with a quick heart attack, and gave me the opportunity to. And I just like working with the dirt and with the tractors, machinery. Seen an awful lot of changes because when I left school, I was just not quite 15 when I did the intermediate, and I couldn't get out of the place quick enough. And my first job was to take over from my old mother, dropping plants into a little furrow that was made with a big box of plants on either side of you. And that was the first planting I did. It would have been about 1956. So, and from then on, the improvements with the ordinary stand-up planters, where you stuck the plants down the top of them, and I think they were Don Dippers. We had them, and then to see them go on to the trash planters with the trailers, another great advance. And of course, at the end with the mechanical planting and that the way it is today, the billet planting, well, sure made life a lot easier. Yeah. Oh, I've enjoyed the improvements, and The changes have been great, yeah. And the more modern tractors. I remember sitting in the old open ones through the July and August in the winter, working with the bloody coal Westleys blowing and trying to wrap yourself up in coats and sucking in dust. Well, that's all by the wayside now when you get into an air-conditioned cabin, turn the radio on and press a few buttons. So, yeah, I'm pretty pleased with the way things are going. Oh, certainly it's a great achievement, and not only that, it just goes to show how resilient sugar cane is, because there's been a lot of other crops tried and grown in the area over the years. I mean, my father was an example. They all grew corn, had cattle, they had everything, but we're in a flood-prone area, and cane is the most resilient of the lot, and I think for 150 years proves a lot. I remember being at the 100th uh, centenary of it 50 years ago, and I thought that was a big achievement. But now we've gone another 50, and I'm still here. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, really am. Yeah, I know my wife's got a fair bit to do with it over here in the shed, and where they got the antique stuff, and I know other up at the hall when they have it, she's been working with other women and people rigging it up, and yeah, we're looking forward to it. Yeah. Uh, Probably most biggest one would be mechanical harvesting for sure. Yeah, I don't think you'd get one gang out from the mill now. When we were cutting, well, we didn't know any better. Plus, you did earn good money if you were in a good gang, and but it was hard work. You had to work for it, and to see those machines come in now and what they can put out in a day, it's just remarkable. Yeah, and I'd say that'd be the biggest change, plus the billet planting and so forth. Uh, that'd be the major changes in my time, but there was a lot of them. There was a lot of them, a lot of changes, I guess. Um, if burning could have been done away with like they tried to in the Richmond and Tweed a few years back, it would have been great, but we've still got to burn it, unfortunately, and not that we want to, because not always easy, but in fact, early this first round of this year, we unfortunately burnt 600 tonne of plant cane that shouldn't have been cut till October, but fire got away and we couldn't do much about it. But no one particularly likes the burning, but I guess it'll carry on for a while. But no, those changes mainly are the harvesting and the planting and so forth, and the more modern tractors and stuff for sure. Well, I well remember the barges because that's how all our cane went to the mill before 1974. And when I cut the first season, I was about 18, I think, in 1960. And we were with a poor gang. We were all amateurs anyway. I didn't make a lot of money, and I didn't bother going back 62, but I did go derricking cane, putting the cane from the trucks into the barge, and I did that for a while, and then I got a job with a chap who had front end loaders that used to load the cane onto the trailers. He had a couple of loaders, and he employed me to drive one for him, and I did a couple of seasons at that, and then so. And the barges, yeah, well, they were a great way of transporting cane, but it was it was just the process of it. I remember often you'd be waiting on the birds to come, and of course no two-way, no mobile phones or nothing then. The punt wouldn't be there. You'd be waiting on a boat to come, and run up to the house and ringing up the Y bridge. You wouldn't always get a real good answer, but you'd tell them you wanted to punt quick, and you'd get it when they were ready, more or less. Anyway, we used to have a few slews and blues with those fellas sometimes, but that was just part of the game. But being fourth generation, I remember my old mother telling me that her grandfather settled a farm out there, one of the farms that we're on, and he was an old Irishman, Richard Marr, and he came out to Australia in 19. Well, he got to the farm in 1867, and they would have had to clear it all, and they used to just plant a bit of cane from when they started, more or less. Well, he went back to Ireland and he brought out four more brothers and a sister, and eventually they settled different places around here. But he went on to have a few kids, and one of them was my grandfather, Mum's father, and he worked that farm for a long time. And then when he died, his wife had no one to work it, so my mother talked my father, who was working in the mill at the time, into buying one of her cousin's farms next door. So that added two together. I don't think Dad was ever really wrapped in farming, but Mum was the boss. So he gave up his job here and he went and he farmed it, and then together they bought another two farms joining them at the bottom, and that gave them about 170 odd acres, which was a pretty fair sized farm at the time. But a lot of it was just running cattle and scrub and pigs. And as I said, he had a 20-acre permit, which was bits of cane here and there on ridges, and that was before the flood mitigation took over. Well, then the flood mitigation came in around 1960, and they put these more modern floodgates and that in, which allowed you to grow cane on places that you wouldn't normally have grown them. So that's when, after that was when, well, he died in '68, so when I took over, I was able to break up the whole farm instead of just the ridges, and that's how it is today. But we did have an island for a while, but yeah, but these old Mars, these old settlers, I don't know, they must have battled, not only them, but all of them, to clear the ground the way they did. There was still an awful lot of stumps in it when I took over, though. I know we had dozers in there for weeks trying to clear it and stump it. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. That's why I'm still trying to do a bit today. Yeah. But and no convicts. There was old Richard himself married into a family of convicts. Julie, my wife, used to say there'd be some back in your background somewhere, but I'd always say there wasn't. But we found out only in the last 10 years that he married into convict blood, but they were all right. They were all right. Didn't stop me. The first year I cut in 1960. As I said, I was with a pretty much new chum gang. I started off with about 8 in the gang. By the end of the season, I finished up, there was only the ganger and his brother and me left. And we were cutting a block of cane out here in Harwood, and there was another gang, Indian gang, an old chap with the name of Jagu Singh. And he was a very shrewd old man, big, tall, skinny Indian. And he had his two sons with him. He turned up this morning while we were cutting, and he had a note from Mr. Watton, who was the chief cane inspector at Harwood, to say that they were allowed to cut in on our cane and help us. And we thought it was pretty unreasonable, but anyway, he had the note and Mr. Watton had signed it. So we cut away till Smoko and George the ganger was going crook. And anyway, sooner or later Mr. Watton turned up. So how you going, George? George says, we're going all right until you sent those other fellas in. And he said, who? He said, Jago and his sons. He said, they're down there cutting the other end. What are they doing here? He said. Well, he said, they had a note from you to say they could. Well, Bob Watton he was about this wide, but not very high, and he looked like an old colonel out of the army, he had a little flat hat on. Well, he puffed himself up and away he went. Well, I never seen 3 Indians leave a field so quick in my life, and old Bob behind them abusing them the whole bloody way through to there till they got in their utes. They had forged a note for him, and holy lifted them. That amused me for quite a while, that, because they never come back near us again. But that was just one of the comedy things. But